Welcome to another episode of The Journey of Motor Cars. I'm your host, Nick Paisler. Tonight, we will be looking deeper into Tesla Motors, specifically the Tesla Model S. I sat down with Greg Haar to learn about the car and the company that Tesla is.
So, what is different to you about owning a Tesla rather than another car, like a regular car?
Well, the number one thing that's different is it does not run on gas.
Right.
So, as an electric vehicle, it doesn't run on gas. It gets us, we don't have to buy oil in order to support it.
Right.
The second thing is because it's an electric motor versus a traditional car, there's literally almost no maintenance, right? Because there are no pistons, there are no moving parts. It's the same. It's the same type of motor that would run like a blender. It's just bigger.
Yeah.
So the only maintenance is really you have to replace brakes, replace tires, and replace windshield washer fluid.
Right. Yeah. Fluids. Yeah.
And that's it. I mean, there's no motor oil. There's no transmission fluid. There's no power steering fluid.
Right. Just nothing. Yeah.
It's all electric. So those are two of the biggest differences. When you're driving it, you'll notice that it's a lot quieter.
Right. Yeah.
Than a regular car. And personally, I think getting off oil and getting to electric transportation is where we need to go, so we don't have to, buy oil from overseas. It's burning gasoline is a fairly significant carbon source that's contributing to climate change. So anything we can do to reduce that is better for the country, better for the planet.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah.
So those are the big ones.
Yeah. How do you deal with, because it's an electric vehicle, how do you deal with charging and wondering about range and how far you can go?
Okay. There were two different sizes of batteries that you can buy for the Tesla. The 60 kilowatt battery that has about a 220, 230 mile range, and the 85 kilowatt battery that had about a 265 to 280 range. So we chose to pay more for the bigger battery because we like to go to Bend, we like to go to Seattle, we like to go to Eugene, Corvallis, the coast, and so we can go to the coast and back on a full charge.
Oh, one charge, coast and back.
And you can get from Portland to Seattle on a full charge. You can get from Portland to Bend on a full charge, but you need to be able to figure out where you're going to charge when you get there.
Right.
But for driving around town, you can set the range for what it charges for daily charge. So we set it at like 160 miles. Yeah. And then we plug it in at home.
Right.
And we had a 200 volt, 50 amp circuit installed in our house, which is like the same size that you need if you're going to run an electric clothes dryer. And so we had that installed, and then we had an outlet in the garage, and then you basically get the same plug. It's a NEMA 1450 that you would use if you're in an RV and you're driving around and you stop at an RV camping spot and you plug your RV in. Same plug. So we've got that plug in our garage, and every night you plug it in and recharge it, and it's definitely ready to go well before in the morning. Yeah. So on that 50 amp circuit, it takes about 1 hour to charge 35 miles of range.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Plug it into a regular wall outlet, it takes about 1 hour to get 3 miles of range.
Oh, okay.
Just because it's a much lower voltage amperage.
Did you have any concerns at first from buying one? Anything...
The biggest concern for me before we could buy one is to make sure that I fit. We couldn't put money down until we could actually sit in a production vehicle and validate that. Put the seat all the way back, all the way down, and so that was the number one concern. I did enough research, so I test drove a Leaf
Yeah.
because the Leaf came out first, but with only 75 miles of range, we couldn't replace a regular car. We had a Honda Accord.
That's not very,
And so we couldn't replace it. You use the Leaf to drive back and forth to work,
right?
But you couldn't really take it to Bend or to Seattle.
Yeah. Right.
So when the Tesla came out and they originally were talking about the 300-mile range, we said that'll work.
Yeah.
We can replace our car, and we take it. I take it to Seattle probably once every 2 or 3 months.
Wow.
And there's a supercharging station that
right,
Tesla opened in Centralia where you get to charge for free.
Oh, it's for free. Yeah, that's great.
And so the only real concern is since there's not really we don't own any place in Bend, and there's not really a good supercharger in Bend right now.
Yeah.
So that would probably be the one place that we haven't taken it.
Right.
And just concerned about, we can definitely get there, but if we're plugging it into somebody's house that we're staying at, it takes hours to get 6-8 miles of range.
Yeah, that's
so you have to figure out where's there a public charger, and how can we get there, leave it there for a few hours.
Right. Yeah. No. I agree. So what so when you're driving it, what's really surprising when you're driving it, and how it's different from other cars?
It is by far the fastest car I've ever driven in my entire life.
Wow.
The acceleration, it's another thing that's different from a traditional car. So the electric motor is directly attached to the rear wheels.
Right.
And so when you put your foot on the gas pedal, that motor instantly starts moving the wheels.
Right, exactly.
The torque in an electric motor blows anything from a standard combustion engine out of the water.
Right.
And so we'll test drive and we'll find an on-ramp. And
you
can feel that.
Right, because when it on the accelerator, it's 100% of the power there, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Please join us next week when we review the history of the Land Rover. Hello, welcome to another episode of... Tonight we will be welcome to another